just out of curiosity, how were your parents when you decided, to take this route?
My dad was always very supportive of whatever I wanted to do. He was kind of the black sheep of his family. So, he grew up in Vietnam, during the war, and he watched a lot of martial arts films. And he's like, I want to be a hero. So, he's still teaching Kung Fu and Tai Chi to this very day. So that's I've gotten a lot of support from my dad about, anything I wanted to do. My mom growing up was just like, you need to be a doctor or a lawyer. How many of us have heard that before, And I'm just like, I don't want to do any of these things. But after so my parents they had very volatile relationships. So they're separated and they divorced. And after divorce, I lived with my mom. And she had a lot of issues with her mental health that we didn't understand until later on after they split up. So she went to therapy, started medication, and she's a lot calmer now. So you wouldn't have if you met me back then versus now with my relationship with my mom, it took a complete like 180 in a really good direction. So she's been very supportive of everything that I do. She comes out to my gigs now. She helps me, if I ever need like a roadie assistance. It's
Mom
quite
the
lovely.
roadie.
So yeah, it's really cute. Like she would go there and she would just like go on her cell phone and she record me and send it to her WeChat friends in China and our family. So yeah, it's really nice to feel the support of my family. And she's just like, oh, my daughter's a DJ. She makes music and she's very proud of me. So it's good.
That's awesome. And just seeing that transformation in your mom, being how you kind of positioned her as, being the resisting factor in the beginning, and then now she's like mom the roadie, right? That's an awesome transformation to hear about as well. And
Mhm.
I think a lot of that goes back to, like, like just trust, right? We talked about self-doubt being a barrier, and then trust being how you overcome that. You trust in yourself, your parents trust in you or in your decisions, and maybe they end up trusting in themselves and how they raised you and the values they brought to you. So trust becomes, a core topic. And then I think, looking at it from maybe from an immigrant point of view, um, I always know that there's this sense of distrust, when the immigrants come to, especially when it comes to government things, there's
Mm.
this level of distrust, oftentimes created because of a misunderstanding, lost in translation, that sort of thing. You're not speaking the same common language, so it is difficult to foster trust. I mean, would you agree with any of that as well?
I There's always going to be this. I want to say always. I do have hope for humanity. Um, sometimes, um, but if anyone just even looks different than whoever's in the majority, look at our presidents. Having somebody that even looks a little bit differently or has a different background or, could potentially have different values is going to be seen as threatening. It's kind of wired into our lizard brains. And if we don't transcend that and really look at the commonalities between all human beings instead of the differences, I think then we're in trouble. So I like to say that what unites us is stronger than what divides us. And if we look at that instead, then we can fix a lot of the problems on this earth.
Absolutely. And, I personally believe that music is actually very integral to that process. Music, like you said, it unites in the sense where, you know you don't need to know the artist, really, right? You hear the music, it does something to you. Are they black, are they white, are they male, female, gay, straight? It doesn't matter. The music is what's speaking to you, right? So I want to get back really quick. I'm not really quick, but let's get back to the music. What kind of sounds do you produce, and where do you host your events?
Okay, sounds. So I first started off doing very relaxing, chill music. A lot of so I'm also a meditation instructor. Before I did music, I would do guided meditations. I would teach classes. And so during pandemic, I created videos for people to watch with my music and with me recording my voice. And it's all on YouTube. It's all up for free if you ever want to check that out. And so very ambient sounds in the beginning, and then, I started adding beats to it. So I had lo-fi hip hop sounds. If you ever listen like to chill hop on YouTube, just background music with like the little video game guys, that's the kind of music that that's the progression of it, right? So it's like meditation and then there's that. And then I started making EDM music. So just like club type beats, four to the floor. I haven't released a lot of them yet. I do have one track out called Carousel. And I'm singing on that track too. So in terms of sounds, I'm all over the place. I can produce pretty much any genre if I feel like that's something I want to do. So then again, there's that Asian overachieving, like I could do that, I could do that. But so now for me, the challenge is like, what do I want to produce? I know I can produce anything, but what do I want to produce and become good at? And it's still in question. So always
Mhm.
experimenting, always trying new things, and
Now, does that sound have like the sounds and the style that you're going for, does that have an influence on the events that you do or the events that you're looking for as far as your business goes?
absolutely. So there's two different sides of my business, I would say. There's like I would say the corporate wedding side. And that's what you see on my website, all the pricing for that. I don't play my music at those events because there's a specific sound that they're looking for most of the times. They don't even want EDM. They want like funk, they want hits from the 80s, and I'm happy to provide that. I love all types of music. Then there's on the other end, there's I would say like ecstatic dance, my own gigs, my own shows. Those are like hour-long sets that people would dance to. So specifically, they're there to dance. They're there for like a party, and usually there's multiple DJs there. So that then I would play, more EDM music, more world beats, some down tempo stuff, and I would curate a set specifically for that for dancing. Whereas on the other end, I have like playlists already set. Like, all right, people like these types of music at these events, and I've gained a lot of songs over the years just from like requests, from doing my own research. So yeah, two different, very different sides of me for different events.
Gosh, you're truly an artist who is also a business owner. And I'm in the creative industry as well. So yeah, there's always that kind of balance, right? Where there's what you do for the professional side of things, which has a very specific kind of constraints that you need to deal with. And that's not necessarily bad, but it might not align exactly with the artistry of what you do and where the passions might lay.
Mhm.
Um, as far as being an Asian American woman in the industry, is that something people don't expect when they find out?
Yeah, sometimes they have to comment on it. They just have to because it's so out there, and I've learned to take it with, with some grace. Even though at times I'm just like sighing internally. If it's a corporate event and like people say that, I smile, I'm just like, yeah, I am an Asian person and I am here doing this thing right now.
Mhm.
And you know, yeah, people don't expect it, and that's why it's like, okay, because it is something that for them, it's out of the ordinary, I can respect that, I can see that, and I will, entertain that for a little bit until it gets old. I want it to get old. I want it to be so normal that it doesn't matter who's DJing, what they look like. I've been to a lot of events where there's just, white guys DJing and they don't get it. They don't get these comments. So I want that to happen for people who look like me too one day.
So so is that actually like has it been a negative? Has it been a challenge? Like, you showing up as an Asian American woman and all of a sudden they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're gonna move on." I mean, has it been a challenge like that?
No, not like that, but I
Okay.
do get people hitting on me. And
I
the
guess
I it's yeah, that it just I feel that that is actually, a real challenge because, I read in a couple of interviews with some of the more famous, just female DJs that, they said that, "Oh, yeah, they're doing weird things, illicit things in order to get favors to play shows." Like, it's not that their own merit that gets them on the top, it's that they know somebody or, like, they're, you know, paying in somehow, and I think that's very, it's very disrespectful for a lot of these artists to, assume that just because you're female that you're not talented on your own, that you need somebody else to give you a leg up to get into the industry. So I would say, yeah, for being a minority in the female sense, there is a big issue there. The Asian thing, it's like a very specific brand because there are some people who are, have creeped on me because I am an Asian woman. They like, "Oh, what's your nationality?" "Oh, you look so exotic because you are half Chinese, half Vietnamese." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm just trying to network here, you."
Oh gosh. Well, that's definitely something that, we got to work towards changing and making sure our culture does better than that, because that is a shame to hear that that's something you've had to endure. But I'm glad that you have been able to still um, you know thrive and survive and thrive beyond that happening to you.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause, as my dad always says, "Don't let the turkey get you down." So they're all
Right.
just turkeys.
Nice. So let's pivot the conversation and talk about being a CEO. What have been some of your biggest challenges, from the business side of things?
Well, I've never considered myself a CEO. Does that make me a CEO because I am the business owner, like
You are
sole
the
proprietor?
owner, women owned,
CEO. What does that stand for again?
chief executive officer, right?
Chief
So
executive. Okay. So this is a relatively new concept for me as to be a business owner, right? So I had been just DJing for, under the table for so long. And then now I'm like, okay, I got to legitimize everything. This is last year, after going through CNPP, getting licensing and DBA, all of the official things that I needed to legitimize this business. And that has been a challenge, but it's also been very rewarding because, you're dealing with bureaucracy. Sometimes things don't go as fast as you want them to, but it also gives me the sense of like, wow, this is who I am. This is my business. This is my baby, and I need to put more more into it than I realized I needed to. So it's not just about being a good DJ. It's not just about having the gear. It's about having the mindset of like I'm running a business. We gotta see what our profit margins are. Where we're falling short and all of that. And the one thing I learned was that it's really hard to be just an entrepreneur, like starting your own business for the first time. So there's months where I think we talked about this earlier, where like I just don't know where my money's coming. I have one gig for this month, and I'm just like, oh no, what am I gonna do? And so I do a lot of other jobs on the side too. So I have, if you look at my resume, and I listed every single kind of job I've ever done. I the last job I had was a graphic designer for the Pittsburgh Senior News. So, doing InDesign, photoshopping articles about the AARP and like senior baseball leagues and things like that. Um, graphic design for marketing flyers. I was producing music a little bit for a YouTube channel. Doing schematics for like SeaWorld in Abu Dhabi, just like speaker matrices. Like it's just I learned so many different like skills that are apart from DJing just to you know, keep myself afloat. And it is very difficult at times to try to make your business make you money when you're not making money already, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, totally. No, and that's a very common theme among business owners. That's they're the jacks of all trade, right? Because you inevitably end up wearing so many different hats, doing so many different things, and getting into business for yourself. If you like you said, it's it's a difficult task, monumental, monstrous, whatever adjectives you want to apply to it, especially at the beginning when you had no idea, like, oh, I'd have to do all this, and then I still have to try to hustle for for some food on the side. So it's
Uh-huh.
definitely a journey and an adventure in itself. um you know Being a CEO at a young age must come with a bunch of growing pains, right? Like you said, so things you had to learn. Is there a lesson that you would like to share? Any one particular lesson
Oh,
of the many?
don't give up. Um, Especially when, let's say you're not really good at tech stuff and you have to have a website nowadays and it has to work. You know, There was so much that I had to go into and fix on WordPress, and I was lucky to have some people helping me with, like, SEO and tech support. I It took me, almost a month to get my website up, like, my new website, the one that's currently up, because there were so many issues with it, and I had to go and call, like, the hosting company and go through, like, the back end of Google, which I didn't know existed, just to get my email, contact form to work, and that took me hours, and of course, I didn't wanna do it. It was all really highly technical stuff, things that you would not know on your own. You have to really, like, go and read just go into Google, like, you don't even know everyone knows, "Oh, yeah, I got my email here," but you didn't know that there's Google and then there's Google. So, I had to go to Google, and it was the most taxing, brain melting tasks I've ever had to do, but I realized, like, there's nobody else that could do it but me, and if I wanna get my website up, I gotta do it, and I felt so proud of myself after I sent the emails, I got the CAPTCHA thing up so no spam emails can get through, which also was another process in its own, like, you have to copy secret codes and things to, like, I'm sure you know how this works. Yeah, just don't give up, especially if you're doing something that is out of your wheelhouse, because that's how you grow. You can't get into business and not grow, because
Exactly.
it's a whole process, it's a whole journey. If you look at it holistically instead of like, yeah, I just want to make money, you got to ask yourself, like, do you actually love what you're doing? And if you really love what you're doing, you don't give up. So that's my advice.
Don't give up. That is, you know, you hear that a lot. You see it on posters, you see it on t-shirts, you see it everywhere, but it's something that can never be understated and probably needs to be a mantra that is always, always, always repeated over and over and over for a business owner. So we're coming to the close here of our little session, and it's been really great. Before we wrap up, I did want to ask you then for a little inspirational, moment, some parting, piece of wisdom. So my final question to you is this: what kind of advice do you have for young people trying to break into your industry?
Don't try to break into anything. That
Interesting.
just sounds so violent. Like, I'm not trying to break out. For me, you got to look at your motivation. Why do you want to make music? Do you want to be popular? Do you want to play shows? Do you want to sound like this person or that person? Or do you have a song inside of you, or a feeling inside of you, or some lyrics or words, or just something inside of you that needs to come out? And it doesn't matter how many people listen to it, one person, three people, 5 million. Um, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's all about you and why you fell in love with music to begin with. So if you wanna break out and just be, like, super popular and famous like that, that's a good goal. I think I fantasize about touring around the world, because I think it'll be just so much fun to, um, like, share my music and have people sing it back at me. So for me, it's not enough to just be a DJ playing other people's songs and, top hits and stuff. I want to perform my own music, use my voice, and, like, really connect with people who have gone through the same things I have, or who really resonate with the music that I am putting out there. So that's for me, like, I'd say, look at your motivation, look at your intention behind it, and if it's a true intention that your soul is calling for, then there shouldn't be any pressure to break out. You shouldn't feel like, "Oh, I'm falling behind." It's almost like a joy of creating and being really in your element, and just honoring those parts of yourself that you're giving a voice to. So, I'd say it's a less, um aggressive process. Yeah, don't be so aggro about it. Be very gentle and, nurturing with your talent, and then everything else will fall, like, guaranteed, everything else will show up. Gigs will show up, people will contact you, people will resonate with your music, and, the all the other stuff that you think that you want, it's gonna be a side effect of the love that you're giving to yourself.
Awesome. That is so, so great to hear. I mean, it's so clear that you're passionate individual and this is your passion. And it's wonderful to hear you share with us these inside insights to what you do in your business and your industry. So to close it out, then, where can business owners locate you, and how can they get in touch with you in case they need help with their own resources and to start their small businesses,
If they want to start their own business,
or just have any questions they want to ask of
oh,
you?
yeah, they could reach me. My website's just DEITII.com. There's a little contact form. So if they just ever need some business advice, or I could also, connect them to CNPP or US PAC, depending on what they're looking for. Yeah, and then if they want to, contact me for any set, like, book me or just even to check out my music, everything is just through my website. All the Spotify and everything is on there as well.
All right. We'll definitely be looking out for you. And again, more power to you in your business. So thank you, Rebecca, for this wonderful conversation. It's good to listen to more stories of Asian Americans and minorities and to learn how to navigate around business needs, especially for communities that lack that access to support that they need. Thank you to our audience, too, for tuning in. And we hope that you can join us again next time at Navigating Business, a podcast brought to you by the U.S. Pan Asian American Chamber of Commerce through the Community Navigator Pilot Program of the Small Business Administration. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.